want to welcome back to the program Leah Littman. She's an assistant professor at the Michigan Law School here to talk about a constitutional right that has been gutted by the Supreme Court. Leah, this has got to be, I got to imagine, I'm here with Emma Vigeland. I got to imagine, and I know that you have been obviously following the Fifth Circuit case as well. This is, I don't know that in our modern era, right, we have seen and I will include like the sort of the diminishment of the Supreme, of the Voting Rights Act and what appears to be the total reversal of a woman's right to have an abortion in this country. Like, there's been nothing like this, it feels like, in the history of our judicial system. Maybe since maybe the Lochner era, but maybe not even ever in the history of the country, right? Where we're starting to see rollbacks of these things.
I think this court is exceptionally aggressive in the number of issues it is reaching out to decide, how extremely and aggressively it is deciding them. And it is issuing rulings that just have profound consequences on so many different people's lives, in addition to the basic structure of our government. You were just talking about the Fifth Circuit decision. Last week, the court gutted another provision of what remains of our campaign finance law. This week, the court made it impossible to enforce your Sixth Amendment right to counsel if you are accused at trial. The court is poised to roll back a woman's right to decide to have an abortion. I mean, the list goes on and on. Next year, they are poised to dismantle affirmative action and race-conscious remedies. Soon, they are poised to basically make it impossible for states to restrict open carry laws. I mean, this court is moving at an extremely rapid pace to refashion government and society in all of the ways the Republican Party wants to and isn't able to do in the electoral process.
Is there? I mean, just as just a point of history, if you see the Voting Rights Act reversals starting with Section 5, and then we're now in Section 2, and we consider the right to vote to be a right that was frankly codified by the 1965 Voting Rights Act, or strengthened, I guess. That's been rolled back by this court. The right to choose is going to be rolled back by this court. I don't know if there's anything that even remotely, can you even come up with an analogy in American history for the rollbacks and rights that we're seeing here? You talk about the Sixth Amendment. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But I mean, is there anything even remotely analogous in any other period of American history?
I think the most analogous period would be the period immediately following Reconstruction and the Civil War, which is sometimes known as Redemption. During that time, a Southern slaveholder sympathetic Supreme Court dismantled the protections for newly freed slaves that the Reconstruction Congress had enacted, and narrowly read the Reconstruction Amendments that were designed to protect the rights of newly freed slaves. That court struck down the Civil Rights Act of 1875, made it prohibitively difficult to enforce federal civil rights laws, and was dismantling rights that were protected by statute and by Constitution in a way that compounded disadvantage that I think resembles the period we are in today.
And Leah, just because this is your area of expertise, I'm just wondering if you can shed light on how this conservative effort to stack the courts, not just the Supreme Court, but federal courts, with judges that are ideologically disciplined and are on their side, how much this is really a culmination of that multi-decade effort, frankly, to cement the courts and ensure that a good majority of them, at least, are in conservative hands.
This is a product of, I would say, 4 decades of work by the conservative legal movement and the Republican Party, not just to focus on the courts, but to focus on every single lever of political power. And that includes the courts. They took every opportunity they could to block Democrats from exercising political power, including by appointing judges to the federal courts. They took every opportunity they had to exercise political power to give themselves the greatest possible advantage, including by appointing judges who would make it easier for Republicans to exercise political power by allowing them to engage in partisan gerrymandering, by dismantling campaign finance regulations and allow them to curry favor with corporations that would spend a ton of money in elections in order to ensure that Republicans retain political power. So this is the product of a several decades long movement. I think progressives need to wake up to that reality. There is no simple fix that is going to happen tomorrow. This is a long fight that is going to take decades, and it involves paying attention to every single election, including state and local elections for the next several decades, electing people who will be the new leaders of the political party, giving them the reins to exercise political power to the maximum possible advantage for Democrats' political agenda. These are things that just have to be done.